woman who's always lived on her terms and she was always ahead of her times. Please welcome Miss Pooja Bhatt. And well, most of you over here would be knowing me. I am Kiran Srivastav. I'm an entrepreneur. I specialize into marketing and I run an NGO called Fempowerment Foundation, which works on women empowerment for their economic independence. So that's me, and I'm going to host this evening with these amazing ladies out here, with you amazing women over here. Thank you. All right. Yeah.
That she'd seen Danny with another woman. Alia had found it funny at first, but she had eventually started believing the ugly story, or at least that's what Danny had thought. She had shouted at him and called him a cheat, even when he had tried telling her that the woman had been a co-worker, nothing more. Alia had refused to listen to him, and the reason for it was that she had already decided to end the relationship. Monica's story had merely presented her the excuse. Alia had broken off 3 years of love and friendship with the sensitivity of a butcher. News of the end of his relationship had reached Danny through rumor, speculation, and worse, through the tabloid media. She had never discussed the matter with him, and she had never looked back, until now. A best-selling author spoke after Danny, followed by an international athlete, and then Pops. His was the longest speech, characterized by controlled voice intonation, subtle and grand hand gestures, shifts of feet, and swells of tears. The legendary actor did justice to his reputation. The audience was enthralled. When the first half of the program ended, guests were directed to a rose garden with sandstone columns and gurgling fountains. The CEO of Indob was in the habit of playing his favorite songs from the 70s and 80s during the 30-minute break while his guests savored keva, spring water, and wine. Alia saw Danny leaning against a pillar, watching her. The music in the background revealed the unsaid. I heard it through the grapevine. Not much longer will you be mine. Oh, I'm just about to lose my mind. The emotions Danny had felt and wanted to express to Alia when they had separated were pouring out from the jukebox. I know a man ain't supposed to cry, but these tears I can't hold inside. There was nothing standing between them except some random people and pillars. It took me by surprise. I must say, when I found out yesterday, guilt crept over Alia. You could have told me yourself, honey, honey. The lyrics had spoken Danny's mind. There was nothing more to be said, unless Alia said it. Jackie Funwala tapped Alia on the shoulder. She looked at her with tenderness, like a friend or a mother, and nodded in Danny's direction. Alia was smart enough to understand what Jackie was trying to convey, but she couldn't get herself to do it. She couldn't admit to Danny that she wanted him back. She couldn't admit that she had done him wrong. A part of it was because she feared rejection. The larger part was the prospect of change. She was used to getting her way. Shifting her perspective could make the mental machinery that she had meticulously built malfunction. A gong sounded. The second half of the forum was to commence. People strolled back to their seats. Hey Al, Jayan said, sensing her disinterest in the remainder of the program. In 5 days we're off to Cannes. Ready as always, Alia responded automatically. When the forum ended, she left the venue without speaking to anyone. She was scheduled to return to Mumbai the following morning but couldn't stand another hour in, in Delhi. Bruised on the inside, consumed by despair so deep it reminded her that she was alive, she took the red-eye flight back to her city of dreams. She needed to touch, grasp, and be held. I need someone, a man. Karan, yes, Karan, a man can remedy the pain caused by a man, she thought. Alia arrived at Karan's house past midnight, restless, craving to be held, intent on dousing her misery in carnal pleasure. Madam, your arrival is inopportune, the head servant said, alarmed at seeing her at the front door. What do you mean? Alia demanded. Sir is indisposed, he responded, fumbling to block her way into the house. Alia brushed past him, thinking, why is he so nervous? She got her answer in the bedroom, where the master of the house was hopping about with his jeans wound around his knees. She watched him pull them up to his waist, only to see the zipper get caught in the worst possible place, causing his smooth face to turn anguished. Alia felt as though she was watching a mime. The room looked like a scene from a crime novel. The curtains were ripped, the bed was crumpled, a glass had fallen to the ground. What's going on here? She demanded, embarking on a search of the room. She opened the cupboards and looked behind the curtain. She pulled the feather blanket off the bed and discovered a pair of twisted pink panties. On the Spanish tiles was a black bra with pink trimmings. Draped on the armchair was a nylon dress that reeked of cheap perfume. The crux of the matter had to be reached, or the plot to this crime novel would fall apart. No way am I going to lose the plot, Alia thought as she went into the bedroom. There she found what, or who, she was hoping she wouldn't, a dusky beauty crouching naked in the shower. Alia marched out of the room, her footsteps seemingly admonishing her, telling her what a fool she had been, the tapping of her heels counting the weeks, months, years she had wasted on this man. Alia, wait, Karan scrambled behind her, his fly unfastened. I can explain. I was you were just, what? Alia demanded angrily. She means nothing to me. That's worse. Please, Alia, you can't leave me. We're a rocking couple. It's over, Karan. No discussions, no explanations. We're through. This isn't happening. This is happening. It should have happened long ago.
Can I request everyone to just put their phones on silent? Thank you. Thanks, Sharika. So my question to all of you here, we can start with Pooja, is that have you ever felt chained in any situation in your life, especially emotionally? If yes, how did you overcome it? If you did overcome it?
Well, I think we've all felt like prisoners in our own lives, but I think wisdom is when you begin to realize, or you come to realize, that actually the bolt was on the inside of the cage, not on the outside. So it took me a long time to realize that it's me, myself, who's caged myself into rooms, into spaces, into cages. And as they say, slavery comes in very attractive packages. You know? So I found myself in a situation in my life where I was in a marriage that was crumbling. It was not crumbling because of anything as painful as this situation that you just read out. It was rather boring. Neither of us cheated. Neither of us were interested in cheating. But I think that as a woman, I realized that I'd lost myself in the process while ticking the box that society places right up there with all your achievements. No matter what you do and what you achieve, the question that is always asked is, so when are you getting married? And when you are married, how many children? When you're having a child? And if you end your marriage, when are you getting married again? So if you say I'm not interested in that narrative, and I'm happy to kind of rewrite the end as and she lived happily ever after, you get very suspicious looks from people. But I was in a situation, a marriage was crumbling, and it took me a long time to come to terms with the fact that I was indeed trapped in a marriage that was not working for me. I lost my femininity. I forgot who I was. A perfectly wonderful man. No bad blood in that sense. But there was a despair and a loneliness that was there in my soul. And I think a lot of women can identify with that. When you wake up and everything is okay on the outside, but there's this hole in your heart that a man or a work or nothing can fill. And I had two choices in front of me. That one was, okay, I was already 10 years married. Is that to continue that lie and then look at somebody and blame them for my unhappiness of life, or do something about it and take the chance of walking on my own 2 feet, however shaky. So I did that. And then I used alcohol as a band aid. So I was trapped and I was chained first into being a good wife and then getting my gratification from a bottle, until I finally asked myself that what is the difference between a relationship, a man, or a bottle? You're using both to numb the pain. So do away with the crutches and learn to deal with yourself and realize that you're not as special as you would like to believe that you are. Deal with the anguish, deal with the emptiness, deal with the ordinariness of your soul, and from that something magical will emerge, and something did. So I think the day I told myself that, okay, life is not a dress rehearsal. I'm not going to kind of end up being somebody who's going to use somebody else as a convenience and, a habit. I'm going to try life on my own. I might never meet that person. I might meet this person, and I met this person. And I kicked the bottle hard. It's been 7 years that I've been sober. I think it's my greatest achievement. I think my work is my hobby, and my real work is my sobriety. And yeah, so I was chained to that, but like I said, the bolt was on the inside. I locked myself into that room. All I had to do was unlock and walk out. Nobody kept me in there.
Wow, that was really honest. Thank you, Pooja.
And Pooja, real
What I
phoenix.
want to add is that I think that more than most is that the stigma and shame attached to alcoholism and addiction for women, because we don't drink openly. Most people. So I drank openly. I drank openly and copiously, and like I live. So I think, why should I recover silently? Why should I? There should be anything anonymous about my recovery. So I use every opportunity to speak about the fact that I was an alcoholic. I am one. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and that there's no shame. It's not a moral failing. And I think the more we kind of come out of the shadows, we end the stigma, and then there is great hope at the other end. Because the bottle delivers, the men don't. Which is why we can drink most men under the table. And the thing is that you have to acknowledge that, and only then can something come from it.
Too good.
And
Sharika.
I just see Pooja as a real inspiration, the real phoenix, because the way she is, when she took those tough, strong decisions, and you all know now all the work that she's doing, it's in front of you, incredible work that she's doing, as if you never had a break.
The universe gives you things when you're ready for them. I believe that.
Absolutely.
I was not ready for it at that point. So it just when the minute I kicked the habits, then the world said, okay, now you're ready, and now come on, here you go. Yeah, now get to the real work.
Yeah.
Sharika, what about you? When did you feel that you've been chained in any situation, and how did you overcome it emotionally?
Actually, you know what? I was gonna say the same thing she said about the prison. I was gonna, instead of a cage, I was gonna say it's like a prison. That, my thing was more like codependency was a problem with me, people pleasing, because my parents had been so busy when when I was small. Wasn't given much time. All that. My grandmother was raising me. She was very religious, extremely religious. I was sharing a room with her, so puja part was going on morning to night. And the whole idea of marriage and children and all that. And I did all that. But I, exactly like what Pooja is saying, completely lost myself. In fact, I was writing this book, and this book took me 8 years to write, because I was grabbing 1 hour here, 2 hours there, children, this, that, and completely lost myself. I mean, I didn't even know who I was by the
I have
end of
seen
it.
that.
I mean,
I've
I'd
seen
gone
that.
through a divorce myself by the end of it. So now it's like a journey. That's why I dedicated this book to all women who are on the journey of self-discovery, because that's the journey I'm on.
Great. Priyanka.
Well, I think Pooja and Sharika both have shared their experiences, and I must say, Pooja, it's very inspirational when you come openly and you talk about an issue you're facing. For example, when you said you understand the do's and don'ts because we live by those social barriers that have been created for, especially for women in politics. Do not drink, do not laugh loudly, do not speak too much, do not speak to your male colleagues, do not laugh loudly with your male colleagues, do not be seen with them after parliamentary hours. I've smashed all of those. Simply because I can't live a life of hypocrisy. It's just not in me. With regards to feeling chained, there have been moments, and there have been plenty of moments where I feel, would I feel better if I get out of this? In some situations, I kind of understood, no, this is where it is. I could be unhappy, I could work things around me. But in terms of feeling chained, was that one moment when I, one fine day, decided I wanted to quit the Congress party. The entire country, I'm not exaggerating here, everyone had an opinion of me. Selfish, self centered, wanting to do much better, feeling chained because of the party. But it was a question about who I was. And a question that how, as a parent, I'm teaching some values to my children. Would I want my son to behave badly with women and say it's absolutely alright because my mother's tolerated it, everyone should tolerate it in politics? Or should I tell my daughter that even if someone misbehaves with you, you have to just grin and bear it because that's how the world is? And I took that decision that yes, maybe whatever comes my way, I'll live through that. But I was feeling very chained with that decision, that should I continue being silent in my party because party is doing, party is giving me good opportunities, party has been good to me. Should I break that down, or should I live by my own principles, which is you can't take situations, where you're being undermined, where you're being mistreated, you're being abused in a way. Should I take that lying down? So I chose the latter. I broke out of that chain and I decided that I wanted to live my life my way, do my politics my way, do it the way I think is the right way of walking ahead in politics. I come from a non-political background, so yes, it was a tough journey, but I think I have not chained myself to any expectations that the world may have of me, but what expectations I have of the world and my duties towards the world.
Wow, that's inspiring. That's really
And I
inspiring.
wanted to add that not only being an example to your own children, but you're being an example to many other children and young adults, many others. It's
And it
always
is,
by example people learn.
and it is emotionally also very like charged up to take such a big decision. So I can. So Pooja, you have lived life on your terms always. In fact, you've been ahead of your times even before, as we all know that. In retrospect, do you feel that if you would have done things a bit differently and not followed your heart 100%, would it be a little better?
No, before she speaks, I want to say one thing.
Sure.
I'm so glad that she did what she did because when we were growing up, we used to look at her as like that icon who just doesn't give a damn about the world and she's doing her things her way. And I think in some way, you inspired women like us to do what we want to do in our own way, right? Walk our own path in the way we want it, not what the world demands you to do. So I think, glad you did it, Pooja.
But I know you will be honest, very honest. That do you really feel that following your heart 100%?
Well, I mean, frankly, I don't know any other way of being. So I can't, like people say, when people tell me, oh, that was such a courageous thing to do, you spoke about this. So I said, I can't take credit for that. It is my nature. I can't, when I speak up for a woman, I speak up for myself. When I speak up for a cause, I speak up for myself. I'm no saint here. But I think that, it's something that I've inherited from my father, and it's something that, thank God, my sister Alia has not, because that's the reason she's so successful. Because she knows exactly what to share and what not to share, what to put out there and what to not put out there. But I think that I've learned that it's only when you're authentic and you are speaking from your heart does it get communicated. Now, when I look back at my life, I'm 51 now. I'm enjoying what they call the fourth season of fame. In our business, they say that there are 4 seasons of any artist. First, they say, "Oh, she has potential," or "He has potential." Then they say, "Oh, she's arrived." Then they say, "She's over," and then they say, "She's back." So I'd given up acting for 21 years, and I came back with a show called Bombay Begums again, where Alankrita Srivastava and Bornila Chatterjee wanted to cast me because of the life I'd led. They were like, "You've been away from the front of the camera for the last 21 years," and it's what you stand for and what resonates in your heart is that's what we want to cast. So I think there's no alternate for a lived life, especially for an artist. You know, an artist cannot be a prisoner, not to themselves, not to a reputation. I think that with enough courage you can do without a reputation, and we have that liberty as artists, and we should take that more. So I just feel that the world has been quite fair, the media has been quite fair. The ones who somewhere in their hearts do understand, but their agenda is not to. You can't change their mind no matter what you do. But I think what's always moved me is when I've traveled through India and I've met women from diverse backgrounds who might not have remembered the films I've done, but they've remembered an interview of mine or what I've said or when I've spoken up for something that the rest of my industry or my brethren did not at that point, because I guess they had more to lose than I did. You know, I think that resonates and it reaches people because eventually what you are gets communicated, not what you say you are. You know, and I think that it's too tiring to play this game of, you know, trying to pretend to be somebody that I'm not, and then, you know, try to get you to like me for what I'm not, and then I go home and that burden, I can't be bothered. So I'm a great actor when the camera rolls, but I'm no good when it's off. You know, and I had the greatest feminist who I grew up with. Besides my mother, I grew up with the greatest feminist of them all, called Mahesh Bhatt. I mean, he's the greatest feminist of them all. So he and who wanted to crash land our party, by the way. So I told him you can't. But I think that for me it's very humbling to be here, and I think that the fact that you listen, and the fact that something resonated and you noticed then, and I love her because she's a completely inappropriate woman. That's why I'm here. But I think that should I have done things better, probably told the line, walked the line, might have gotten me a hit film here or maybe two more jobs there, but it would not have done anything for my soul. It would not have added to my growth. So I think my belittling failures, my times of isolation, the times that the world has turned its back on me supposedly, that is where I found my wealth. That is where I found my core. And I would not trade that for anything in the world.
Wow. So raw and real.
Yeah, I mean, I've realized that growth and comfort do not go together. So, you know, I'm good with discomfort. I do not shirk pain. I do not say why me anymore. There was a time I would say, why me? Now I'm like, there's a reason it's me. You know, if you believe in a power above, it's chosen you because you're capable and something beautiful comes from that. So I think that it's the darkest nights that have kind of given me the maximum light. And I mean that, it's not a blurb.
Sure, sure. Whatever you say, we know you just mean it, and it's like right from the heart.
I wanted to add to that is that authenticity.
Yeah.
That is golden. There's few people we know about that, authenticity. And then you see the real leaders like, Elon Musk and so many others.
I beg to differ on that one.
Yeah? Yeah?
You're not my favorite person in the world,
Okay,
sorry.
but he's authentic though. At least he speaks his
You
mind.
make the most comfortable
No,
cars.
that's why people don't like him. You see, people
Messed up Twitter completely.
people love him and people hate him. That's because he's himself.
So Sharika, tell me, Sharika has been from a very privileged background, with her family being into politics. She's seen all the luxuries, and I know her for many, many, many years, right? Now, I always felt that you having that privileged background have made things very easy for you. Now, I wanted to know that did that privileged background and all that you had in your favor, according to us seeing you from outside, did it work as a catalyst for you to achieve your dreams, or it was vice versa?
Very personal questions, Kiran. Sorry.
I had to ask.
Actually, generally, my family hasn't been very supportive of my career and all that. With the writing, I would say I was just quietly doing my thing and consistently and persistently and by myself. And always knew that one day I'm going to be published and one day I'm going to be, and that vision was always fixed in some other timeline. It was just that I had to get to that time. With my work, it was very, with personal life, don't ask. But when it came to my writing, it was just the one thing that I was very sure about. And I had to really go the way that most struggling writers have to. Call up publishing houses, send my manuscripts out to various publishing houses, trying to get agents, chiseling. That's why it's taken such a long time. But yeah, and so I always say you can be from whatever background, you can be from a poor, rich, whatever, but arts, as Pooja knows, like even if you're from a family that is very well known, and so many we've seen young ones, children of very big stars, try to make it, and that one first step, okay, fine, your family background can give you, but if you don't prove yourself in your craft, then you're washed out. So that's it.
Right. Absolutely. So, Priyanka, we were just talking back there. I always loved politics. And I always thought that if I get into politics, maybe I would have the power to create the change. But I was told, and the impression was such that, hey, if you get into politics, you will not have a good personal life. Right? So I thought, okay, I will do my NGO and things like that. It was like a set mindset because being a woman politician is not a regular career. You're right in the front line. Now, I want to know from you that as a woman politician, have you ever felt, again, I would use the word chained, or have you felt a sense of freedom being a woman politician, or it has restricted you in many ways?
So, my political journey has not been the conventional journey where you start from college life and then from there you mature to come into a political party. I was married at 21. I had babies by the time I was 28, and I jumped into politics at the age of 30. And I started with the youth congress because youth is in politics is considered up to like 60 years old, so I considered young. So 30, I thought I was like 30, the third decade of my life, but they thought I was young, so I joined the youth congress with two children. And that is how my trajectory began. And whatever I did, everything came from the heart, simply because when you say I got a yes, of course, even when you said your parents, your family warned you about it, your friends did not want you to be a part of it. I got all of that. My own family told me that what are you jumping into? What are you even doing? You have a good business going for yourself. You have two lovely children to look after. What makes you take this jump? And I thought that till the time I don't change this mindset that why should a woman jump into politics, I think I should be the first one jumping into it and making that change. Making that this entire stigma around the idea of being in politics needs to go. Of course, the journey is fraught with a lot of challenges. Of course, there are lots of decisions you have to take at particular point in time, but you do them with that intent of changing how the dynamics works. Until you don't start making that change or speaking up for that change, many people tell me that why do you keep speaking about women empowerment? Why do you bring women intersectionality in every speech you make? I do that simply because there are very few women voices in the parliament, and if I don't do my job for the women, for my gender, then I'm failing my gender. So it has been a journey which is unconventional in a way. It has been fraught with challenges. Many people have also told me, Are, you should get into the movies. Are you into politics? Oh, do you know anything about crypto? Oh, do you know anything about the economy? Oh, your maths IQ is like just so zilch. It's the girl math which is doing a trend on Instagram. So what? I'll live with my incompetencies, but as far as my commitment to my cause is totally, I find myself competent enough to do it, I'll continue to do it. So that's what kept me going.
Super. Wow. I'm getting inspired here.
Kiran, I
And
mean, we should ask you some questions. Let's ask Kiran about her journey as well. So Kiran runs a foundation called Fempowerment, as she had said before, and I've seen her like in the last 15 years rise from where to where. Now she's gone global, and giving and empowering so many women that are underprivileged to teaching them. Tell us a little bit about.
so I've just realized something of late. I used to always believe that only women who are working and only women who are independent are the empowered women. And I was really wrong. I was very wrong because I used to feel anybody who's working and is independent is empowered. And over the years, I learned that a happy woman is an empowered woman. And that happiness ka definition could be anything. Somebody would like to be a homemaker and be happy. Great. Somebody wants to be a mother and be happy. My friend here, she's happily given up her career for the time being and is taking care of her child and is loving it, and she's feeling empowered. Or my friend who's a homemaker by choice. So happiness is something which can empower you. I met so many women in different villages, the underprivileged women, and they all have different definitions. So I have learned one thing, Sharika, that a happy woman is an empowered woman, and happiness definition could be different for different women. It's not what I think or you think. That's what I have learned. So yeah, I think all women should be happy. That's all. Okay, I have one last question to all these women. It's very important. And since it's an all women event here, what is the one tip you all want to give to women across all age in matters of heart? Very specifically. Yes,
I just told you that I've rewritten my narrative of when she lived happily ever after. No, but having said that, listen. I mean, I love men. I love love. I love some of my friends have been married forever. They have got wonderful children. I kind of enjoy the joys of being an aunt, and then they can be taken away, as you know what I mean. So that happens, and I have some who are single. It's a good medley of all of that. So I don't have, just because I'm single doesn't mean I have anything against love. But I'm not looking for a solution. I'm looking for a companion. If somebody is willing to walk ahead when necessary and walk behind when necessary. And I don't want to play house. I don't need your name. I don't need your financial independence. My biological clock is not ticking. I love kids, but then I go on flights, and then I'm like, No, but on a serious note, when I look at the state of the world, when I see children being murdered in Gaza, it makes me feel that I think the best contribution I have made to this planet is not bringing a child into the world. That's what I think on days 2. So about love, I would say my heart is open, and I hope every woman I come across does not allow anybody to take that feeling away from them. We are bigger and better than anybody who might have put a stake in our heart. We must, in fact, thank the people who have walked all over us, who have let us down, who have attempted to break us, because I think with that, something new was born.
wow.
So I think that you don't ever look back and say that you want to erase. Like I don't want to erase a line that appears on my face. I'm okay with putting color in my hair. I'm okay with putting makeup on because I'm an actor. But life has given me that wrinkle. I'm not erasing it. I've earned it. So similarly, if there's a relationship that might have gone wrong, it was right at some point. So there's something that you've learned from every human being you've loved, even if the reciprocation was not there. So love does not depend on someone loving you back. And it's not love. So I think thank you to the ones who've broken my heart, to the ones who've taught me music, to the ones who've loved me, to the ones who've just been kind to me, and also the ones who've hurt me terribly, because I think that my heart got split open. There was more love in it to give other people out there, and it's not jaded me, it's not closed me off, and I think that's what we need to do, is just be soft. Don't let the world make you hard.
Yeah, that's
That's
Beautiful.
it. That's it.
And I can, that's
I mean,
what
fight
I
back,
say.
kick them where it hurts when you need to. Don't take any rubbish lying down, but be soft. That's it.
Be soft and keep your heart open. Wow.
Exactly. That's what I like that, because often when you've had your heart broken, people turn on in the other way, saying that all men are like this, or what, I don't want to have a relationship, I'll have boyfriends, whatever, which is also fine. But I'm saying that I'm also of that school of thought that one shouldn't get hardened because of those experiences. The femininity should still be there. But about the journey of self discovery, what this book is about, I would say those people that lost themselves along the way, and their cups somehow that had been full when they were born, and they were really small, they were born with full cups, and then the cup slowly, drop by drop pours out, and then there's very little left in the cup, or half. You have to first fill that cup up through self-love. And a lot of people, because of societal conditioning, a broken society, actually, we come from. Society in many respects is a broken society because of expectations, paradigms, conditioning, all that. So you are also dealing with that, and some of us have traumas because of that. Now you have to work through all that. Get the cup unbecome. Get the empty the cup out, okay, and then fill the cup with yourself. That is self love, and then your cup is full of love, so you don't feel you need anyone. You want someone that's lovely to share your life, but you don't need them. Like what she was saying, you have to get financially independent. You have to have self love. You have to feel good about yourself. Every area of your life, I feel that you should be independent, and true self love is if you're independent in all areas of your life, you keep working on it, and then you can give back.
So
That's what I
self-love.
feel. So
Yeah,
self
but
love,
we
yeah, and then
also
you can
don't.
give
I mean,
back.
I don't you all feel that we're living in times of this toxic positivity. Yeah?
Yeah.
This nonsense about love yourself no matter what, and I'm sorry, yeah, it gets a bit annoying. I mean, I can't handle it. I mean, I just love it when people say, "How are you?" I say, "I'm feeling terrible." I'm like, "Thank you. Can I sit with you, please?" Because I'm just so tired of this. Oh, I got it, and I'm my best, and I'm the hero, and I'm so. I mean, come on, yeah. So that also is a bit
So
much.
you're saying if you're in pain, you have
So
to
I'm saying
accept
that
that
we
No,
also
I'm
also.
not
become a
saying
society
deny.
that is
I'm not
so.
saying deny the
No, no,
pain
I'm
or
not saying
anything.
you are saying. I'm saying society put so much of pressure on winning everything. My point is, no, you cannot win every day. You have to fall back someday. You have to fall and fall hard. You have to kind of, you have to. That's why we spoke about failures earlier. It's those rough times, the bad times that teach you far more. It's who's with you in the bad times that count, not when everything is all gung ho. So I feel that it's okay. You don't have to. I mean, this Instagrammable happiness and positivity, and I can't take it after a point. Yeah, it's
Okay,
exhausting.
I want to
Sharika is
add
saying
one
the
point to
right
that. One
thing.
second. No,
Huh.
I'm just saying about the self love. My point is that, of course, friendships and you
Yeah,
fall
put
hard.
yourself first.
I'm saying my point is that
Yes.
you cannot give from an empty cup.
No, you cannot.
You
That's true.
cannot
Yes.
give love unless you love yourself. If you don't love yourself, I'm talking about people that have gone through really broken. Okay, they have different ways of. I've just come out only 2 years ago out of a 20-year long relationship, 18-year long marriage. I have two sons, and I'm going through the process of filling the cup right now.
Right.
And I really believe that unless my cup is filled, and that's why I prefer being to myself in solitude a lot these days, because I want to fill my own cup and empower myself. And I have good days and I have bad days. I have days where I cry, oh, this is really difficult. But once my cup is full, I feel I can love the world. I can love anybody and give
So
real love.
so being whole in yourself.
Yeah, being whole.
I
being
think
whole.
what you're saying is that you're waking up to the fact that that you are enough for yourself, and I think that's what they say, when you're lonely, when you're alone, then you're in bad company. So that's what I'm saying. The point I was making earlier is that whether you use a man, or you use a bottle, or you use fame, or you use anything to fill that vacuum in your soul. Um, in that sense, that we are addicts. Even workaholism, it's an addiction. But then because you're bringing money home, people don't question that. So,
Absolutely, Priyanka.
So, how I look at it is this: when you say what would you advise as far as heart is concerned, I look at the heart as love, empathy, kindness, respect, dignity. I look at it from that perspective. So, if someone's giving me love, great. If someone's giving me respect, great. Dignity, great. That is what I fought for all my life. All I tell all the women or all the men out there, that whatever you do with all your heart in that place. So today, even if I criticize this government, I criticize with all my heart, simply because I believe this government is not good for my nation, for the future generations to come, and what it is feeding to the future generations to come. That is what I feel, and that is why I object with all my heart. I do my politics with all my heart in place, simply because I believe politicians should be doing goodness. They are in that position. We have come into this position after of course, our struggles, of course, our journeys, but people have given us that faith to be able to, change the narrative. So do it with all your heart. So whatever I've taken up in my life has been all heart, of course, with mind in place. But heart is necessary for the empathy, for the kindness, for the understanding, for the dignity of all, for the respect for all, and of course, above it all, the love. And that is what a relationship
So
is
can I
about.
say that all of
No,
us
I agree
feel
completely, and I think that a very important point you brought up on the word dignity.
Yeah, the
dignity?
And I think that's what when we spoke earlier about, about how you feel that only a woman who might be a CEO of a company or might be somebody well placed apparently is empowered. No, I think that the real wisdom lies in rural India. I think that women who have really nothing, but in that sense, I think that somewhere along the line, the opposite of income, poverty is not income, it's dignity.
dignity.
Wow, yes,
You give
yes.
dignity is what we all want within our workspace, in a relationship, from our children, from our bosses, from everywhere.
So we all believe that we should follow our hearts, with dignity and self-respect being the prime aspect, right? Great. So anybody has any questions here? Yeah, yeah. We have a questions first. Then yeah. Anyone has any questions? Oh, Namrata. Yes. Why don't you take this mic?
So wonderful, said Sarika. I really resonate with you. I want to ask a question to Pooja. Pooja, I am also like I just got 50 this year, and I have brought up and in my young age listening to your song "Oh Mere Sapno Ke Saudagar," and I really believed that one day in White Horse a man will come and all that wonderland. I was fooled, but when I got married, when it came the reality and in my dreams back of the mind, I always think of your message and you come in my manifestation. So happy to see you and your empowerment. So, because that's what was inspired us that, okay, this will happen. And now looking at you, how it, changes and the way you changed the life and the way you took over, it was amazing lesson. Like all the women here and whom I know in our community of 80,000 entrepreneurs we all take your example. Thank you for being you.
Question was her birthday right now.
Yeah, so it was my birthday, 50th birthday, and when I was asked, the question is that how do you deal with all this? Like when you come out, like today also you're looking so nice and glowing, and it's not easy to deal. The negativity inside what we have, toxic world, what you said, we deal with it. We put our makeup, oh, everything is fine, and look. What helps you to get out of this so
I
properly?
don't keep anything inside. I'm incapable. I believe that internal bleeding is more dangerous. You know, even joy becomes a burden when you can't laugh.
But what
So
helps
I
you?
let it out. I let it out. I just, if I feel despair, I feel despair fully.
How? How?
I mean, I just allow. I don't. If I
Just
want to cry, I will
cry your
cry.
eyes out.
If I want to scream, I will bury my head in a. There are a million questions that go far beyond will a man come into your life or not, and will this movie work or not? I mean, it's just existential questions that completely plague my soul. But then I'm like, no, you can't, because that's what people want you. They want. That's how they defeat you, is by allowing you to be there in despair. So the nature of life is that it just.
No, but really, my question is: are you really happy that there is no Sapno ka Saudagar and you are all by yourself?
Well, if he
That's
comes
my-
along, wonderful. But I'd like him to maintain his own house, because I don't see myself sharing my space. You see, I'm 51. One of the reasons I did Big Boss was I wanted to see whether I could share that space with 12 people. And I mean, I came very close to killing a lot of them, but I controlled myself. I was rather
I could
zen.
never do Big Boss. I
Yeah.
could never.
But the point is that, I mean, if he comes along, great. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Am I going to be defined by a man who has come or not come into my life? No. I've been there, done, and bought and sold the T-shirt. I've known some wonderful men, some rakish ones, some wonderful ones. That's happened. Now it has to happen. It has to happen for different reasons. I mean, and frankly, I wouldn't want him to come appear on a horse, because I would not want to see horses on the streets of Bombay anyway. I mean, if he doesn't come in on his bike or whatever the hell he has, or an electric car, ideally, great. My heart is open. But are you coming to rescue me? No, buddy. I don't need to be rescued. You want to be a companion and walk alongside? Great. There's room for that. But I don't need to be rescued. I'm enough. I'm good enough. No, I don't need the horsepower. That's a good one.
You know, there's a line in the book. Yeah, anyone else want to share? We'll go on to that. But pertaining to this, is there's a line, a waitress overhears a conversation between two friends talking about marriage in the book, and she's got tattoos and piercings and everything. You know, young waitress, and she's like, "Listen, I can't help it. Overhearing your conversation. You know what? My marital status doesn't. I'm not defined by my marital status." So this line, I feel like whether you're married, not married, gay, straight, transgender, whatever, just find your happiness. You have a companion to share your life. Like what she's saying, you don't. It's about sharing your life. You don't need you. The moment you start feeling like you need, I feel that's the
I don't
thing.
want to bog someone down with that, you know. I mean, I don't think that you can. It's unfair to expect anyone to have solutions to your issues. You need to first sort that out, and I think that's what you meant by saying
Yeah,
that your
yeah,
cup
that's
needs to
what
be
I
full.
meant. Yeah.
Is that first get
Mhm.
everything in order inside you. It's about finding the right person and also being the right person.
Yeah.
You know, and the audacity to kind of look at something and say, hey, it's not working. Because I think that society and our families tell us that, you know, no, now you're in this, now you have to stay in this, now you've got kids, this is not your age. What do you mean? Now you're 50, what are you talking about ending a marriage? Hello? Even at 90, it's not too too late, I feel.
When I met Pooja just recently, and
Or
I
even to get married for that matter. If you find somebody you want to get married 25 times, I'm all for whatever gets you through the night.
when I met her just recently, and as I had shared, I've come out of I've had a divorce after a long marriage, and I have two children. They're in Kodaikanal International, two boys. But I met Pooja and I had been in touch in the last 1 year a couple of times by phone, but I hadn't met her physically, personally, until a few days back, and we spent like 2 hours together. And you know, I've been following what all the work that you've been doing in web series and all. I watched Mumbai Begum, but you know, when I observed her, is the way she's so comfortable in her own skin, very grounded. This is me, you know. I'm, you know, and that is so inspiring, I think, to so many women. The way you are, like, you're so authentic and you're yourself. You know yourself very, very well, which is an inspiration.
Thank you. But I'm blessed to have people in my life, family and friends, who would not allow me to be anything else but authentic.
That's lovely.
So, you know, you need to have people who ground you. There are enough of those who just prop you up, but the ones who bring you down and say, listen, we love you, but this was a bit much, you know? So I'm very blessed. So I think that, and also one can be that for each other. So, I mean, I think that, I mean, I can't take credit for anything,
My
frankly.
husband and kids do the punch ring all the time. Yeah, they keep me grounded. They're like, hello, come back to.
Hello, I have two questions. The first question is directed to Priyanka and Pooja, and the second question is directed to all of you. So my first question is, Priyanka and Pooja, you've worked in like very male-dominated industries. Um, Not so much now, but maybe 10, 15 years back. So, how did you deal with? Because I've noticed here, like men have a huge ego, and compared to they want to be in power trip when it comes to controlling women or certain situations, and they don't like being answered to. So, in your industry and in your industry, how did you handle that?
So, as far as politics is concerned, the way it functions is about dominance and who overrules whom. And it is just about how you conduct yourself and you tell them that you're not taking shit for granted. And what that person could be talking, irrespective of their gender, could be, sorry, pardon my language, is shit, right? Because you know better. But of course, there have been a lot of comments, then there have been a lot of insinuations, character assassination, hit jobs done on me over the period of time in my political journey. But however, you have to take. I did realize that I'm entering into a space which is so dominated by men, and they would try to pull you down. They will try to bring you down. They do not want to create those spaces right now because they themselves are insecure in those spaces. Especially politics is a very insecure space to be in, and you may be doing exceedingly well today. Tomorrow, you may not even find yourself anywhere. So that those are things which you also mentally condition yourself that this is you're in this for a long haul. You're going to fight this through. You're not going to give up because someone has some agenda or some opinion about you or about my gender, irrespective. So you just keep walking and you keep walking your talk as well. and that is how it's worked for me. And I'm hoping it will continue to work for many more women who are hoping to make their career in politics.
No, I mean, we have it very easy in comparison to what you all endure. I mean, it's 24/7, it's never off. I mean, you're being watched through, and you know, every action, every line is viewed through a microscope, and at least we have the luxury of turning it off and saying, now we're not available. So I think in that sense, it's much, much easier. But I think that similarly, I mean, I became a producer at 24. I was India's youngest female producer, actually, made a movie called Tamanna that dealt with female infanticide. In those days, there were no multiplexes, so the film industry looked at it as an art film. The art world looked at it as a commercial film. It released in Metro Cinema. There are 1,100 seats. We couldn't fill those. So again, like you speak about being ahead of my times. It sometimes it was not. It's not that it pay you to be ahead of your times, you know. And then of course we at that time we were told, you as actresses, you must be seen, not heard. Keep your opinions to yourself. If you have a boyfriend, keep him at home. Do what you want to do, but don't talk about it. And I was like, I'm 19, my parents know I have a boyfriend, why should I lie to the world? So I think Manisha Koirala and me got a lot of flack, and we kind of paved the way for a lot more women today to be able to lead their lives openly. They called us every name under the book because we were honest enough to say that, you know what, we're in love, and you know what, now our heart's broken, and you know what, now we're in love again. They're like, how can you be in love again? So I think the world has a problem with women who get up all the time. You know, they give you the punches, and then when you bounce back from the punches, that's what gets them. That, oh my God, again she's risen, again she's risen. So I mean, it was a bit tough initially because the big boys in the industry were like, "Magar, aap to heroine hai, aap to glamour world ke hai, aap to wohi karo." In other words, don't you dare try and play with the big boys. And I'm like, I don't want to play with y'all. I want my own playpen. So eventually, it's your work that speaks. Yeah. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep doing the job. And yes, you got to work harder. That's the way it is. And eventually, then they realize that you're here to stay and they can't fight you.
Yeah, but I just want to add one more thing here. When she said you have to work harder, unfortunately for women, we have to work doubly hard.
Yeah.
That is one challenge that we women face, and at all times we need to keep proving ourselves as having to done a good job of it, right? And to give you another example, once I entered the parliament, of course there was this entire, of course the entire aura of being in a parliament and being a parliamentarian amongst a 1.4 billion population. You're amongst those chosen few, but the positions they push you in, like if you are a woman, you can handle the Women and Child Empowerment Committee. Please head to a committee which has to do with health. And I fought all those barriers. I said, why can't I be in external affairs? Hello, I have an opinion about geopolitics. I will be in external affairs. Then I challenged them about why can't I be in the finance committee or trade committee. Became a part of the trade committee. So you need to fight every single box that they've put you in to get out of those boxes. And once you're out of those boxes, you perhaps created a way for many women to say hello, external affairs, hello, finance, hello, economy. So that is how it happens.
And don't you find that very often it's you have to fight women as much as more
That's
than
so
you have to fight
exactly
men.
what I was going to talk
You
about
know,
right now.
I'm not just because it's happened to you. Don't you want to break the cycle? Why are you kind of victimizing somebody else now because you have been victimized?
I must share this particular point of view, especially because it happens a lot in women who are politicians. I used to do a program, Doordarshan, Rajya Sabha TV approached me to do a program where they felt that women open up to other women parliamentarians. So why don't you anchor a TV show which brings out the stories of women parliamentarians? And we got some really fantastic women MPs who won in the Lok Sabha, who come from tribal constituencies, who are tribals themselves from the ST community, how they've risen through the ranks. And their stories were extremely inspiring. So today I sit here, I talk about my story, all think I've done a great job, but they have done a much tougher job in much tougher circumstances. They're sharing their stories. Many women I approached who are very well-known faces, that why don't you come on the show and we'll do the show? They're like, we don't want to be clubbed in an all-women panel. We cannot be talking about only women. We have male voters too. And I think that is so terrible, because at some point you have to think of your commitment towards the gender cause as well. You have made it here. How can you pave the way to ensure that the piece of the pie gets bigger for the women? So how do we do this? This usually we find that camaraderie doesn't come as far as gender issues are concerned. We don't get that.
I wanted to add to that exactly the same point is that I had a really difficult time with my editing because there were female editors and there are other authors, female authors, that really didn't want the book to come out and they took so long. The editors took forever, were arguing. Really, I mean, I can't tell you about the rudeness level. It was really bad. And some author friends, like even about the launch tonight, one of my very good friends in Bangalore, they said, listen, make sure you're dressed conservative, okay? In your first launch, what you were wearing is not, you have to look like an author. You can't be looking like some hippie something.
I told Sharika, I said, you be who you are and be, sorry. And I just wanted to put this point, and I'm glad you're looking so beautiful, Sharika. And I just told her that you be the way you are, what is your personality, because your work is going to speak about your writing, not your appearance. You should just be, yes, whatever you like, you wear, and you don't have to look like an author because you are an author and your book is here. So, yes.
So women building each other up. I think
Yeah,
that we have to, as a community of women,
that
like
we should,
we
yes.
really should build each other up, and that.
Yeah, I hope women, I always say that, and this is last 2 minutes only. I have always said in all my speeches in Fempowerment also always that I request all the empowered women to please empower others, men and women. Empower everyone, whomever you can, right? You have a question. Can we make it quick?
Yes,
Yeah.
I just have a very simple question to Sharika, which is, were the protagonists in your book inspired by real life examples? So,
Yes, I would say some of them largely by people I know, but okay, two of them are composites. That means it's a composite like the actress. I researched 5 actresses, so I had a character in mind. But I wanted to have real. I wanted that character to have real teeth. So I researched 5 actresses, and I'm not going to tell you the names of those 5 actresses, but to make it more authentic. Yeah, and yes, all of them are based on, that's a composite character, but the other three are, let's say, 70% based on real people.
And they're coming from Delhi, so you know.
thank you.
I'm sorry, I had to say it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you're done.
Anyone else has something to share, and then we can wrap up?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so now let's do what we are here for. Let's launch the book.
And there's coffee. One sec, before we launch the book, I want to thank Bhuvaneshwari auntie, who's my second mother. And please stand up, Bhuna auntie. She's my mother, my Mumbai mother over here.
Please everyone make sure you're high tea, coffee, snacks, cookies, brownies, everything over there. Break free cafe for you. And if you want a book, you can buy a book and I'll sign the books. Anyone want me to sign the books, buy a book and sign the books. And buy them for your daughters as well. You go fast.
हाँ, सबसे पहला क्या कहना चाहेंगे अनचेन द हार्ट टाइटल इतना खूबसूरत है।
अनचेन माई हार्ट, आई थिंक अनचेन माई हार्ट का जो थीम है वो रेजोनेट करता है हम सबके साथ में। शारिका जो है बहुत ही एक यूनिक इंडिविजुअल हैं एंड आई थिंक दैट मैं बाहर उनको मिली और मैंने कहा कि आप बहुत ही इनअप्रोप्रिएट एक औरत है और मुझे इनअप्रोप्रिएट औरतें बहुत पसंद हैं जो मतलब हम हर वक्त ज़िंदगी एक एक सहमे तरीके से जीते हैं, जो द वंस हु ऑलवेज टो द लाइन, जो रूल्स ब्रेक नहीं करते हैं, वो कहीं ना कहीं मेरे दिल तक वो अपना एक मार्क नहीं छोड़ते हैं। तो आई थिंक शारिका ब्रेक्स ऑल द रूल्स, अपने खुद के दिल को फॉलो करती है एंड आई थिंक ये जो किताब है वो उसके दिल से ही आया है एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई एम हियर जस्ट टू सपोर्ट। आई थिंक हम औरतों को एक दूसरे को सपोर्ट करना बहुत ज़रूरी है।
मैम इस इवेंट का सबसे बेसिक फैक्टर यही रहा वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट और आज एक मतलब एक न्यूज़ ज़्यादातर फैल रही है रश्मिका मंदाना का इनअप्रोप्रिएट वीडियो वायरल हो रहा है।
जी आप, क्या होता है ना, आप ऐसे माहौल में एक आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट अगर सवाल मुझे पूछेंगे जो वीडियो मैंने देखा नहीं है तो आई थिंक इट्स वेरी अनफेयर, क्योंकि आप मुझे कैमरा पे ब्रीफ करके मेरा रिएक्शन नहीं ले सकते हैं ना। तो अगर मैंने वन सेकेंड अगर मैंने ये वीडियो देखा होता, मैं इस टॉपिक के बारे में जानती थी, मैं 100% दिल से आपको जवाब देती कि हम उस शख्स की बेटी नहीं है जो नो कमेंट्स कह के ज़िंदगी जीते हैं। तो आई डू नॉट हैव एनी रेफरेंस टू व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, तो मैं इसके बारे में बात नहीं करूँगी।
ओके मैम और एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहूँगी। एलविश के बारे में काफ़ी न्यूज़ ऐसे फैल रहे कि वो इलीगल तरीके से पार्टीज में स्नैक्स का सप्लाई करते हैं नशे के लिए, तो आपका क्या कहना है, मतलब आपने क्या सोचा है इस बात में कितनी सच्चाई?
आप पहले बताइए आप लोगों ने क्या सोचा है, क्योंकि मैंने नोटिस किया है कि आज की मीडिया में जज, लॉयर, एवरीथिंग इज हैपेंस इन द मीडिया बिफोर इट इवन गोज एनीवेयर। तो आई वुड जस्ट से दैट टाइम जो है इज़ द बेस्ट आंसरर ऑफ ऑल दीज अनकम्फर्टेबल क्वेश्चंस। और बुरे वक्त जो होते हैं, सपोजिटली बुरे वक्त, जैसे मैंने पहले भी कहा, हमें बहुत कुछ दे के जाता है, हमें बहुत कुछ सिखाता है। सक्सेस, इन्फमी, अच्छे वक्त, बुरे वक्त, वो हम सबको आजमाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि सिर्फ एक और दूसरा नहीं, वो पॉसिबल नहीं है। वही लोग जो और वही मीडिया जो आपको चढ़ाती है बहुत ऊपर, वही लोग और वही मीडिया आपको गिराती भी है बहुत जल्द। तो बैलेंस रखना बहुत ज़रूरी है, और चाहे वो अच्छे वक्त हो या बुरे वक्त, अनकम्फर्टेबल टाइम्स हो या बहुत ही ईजी टाइम्स, take it all with a truckload of salt, because eventually the truth cannot be manipulated beyond the point.
मैडम एक लंबे अरसे के बाद आपने कमबैक किया है, इतना बड़ा ब्रेक लिया, तो जो सिनेमा का में जो चेंजेस देखने को मिल रही, जो OTT की जिस तरह की फिल्में बन रही, जिस तरह की सीरीज़ बन रही है, उसके ऊपर आपका क्या टेक है? पूरा जनरेशन चेंज हो गया है।
जी पूरा जनरेशन चेंज हो गया है, मगर मैं 21 साल से कैमरा के सामने नहीं थी, कैमरा के पीछे तो थी। सनी लियोनी को, जॉन एब्राहम को मैंने लॉन्च की थी। तो आई थिंक जनरेशन को इन्फ्लुएंस करने में मेरा हाथ काफ़ी रहा है। आई हैव नॉट बीन डिस्कनेक्टेड फ्रॉम मेन स्ट्रीम मीडिया। मैं सिर्फ पर्दे के पीछे, कैमरा के पीछे चली गई थी। मगर 21 साल बाद हाँ, मैंने बॉम्बे बेगम्स में काम की थी, वो OTT नेटफ्लिक्स की सीरियल थी, एंड इट वाज अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग रोल, बहुत ही बोल्ड सब्जेक्ट थी, क्योंकि औरतों की सारे जो समस्या थे उसमें बहुत ही बेबाक तरीके से डायरेक्टर ने हैंडल की थी। एंड उसके बाद मैंने चुप की आर बाल्की के साथ में, दैट ऑल्सो वाज अ वेरी अनयूजुअल, कि एक सीरियल किलर है जो फिल्म क्रिटिक्स को मार रहा है, अनयूजुअल सब्जेक्ट। अभी 2 और शोज़ किए हैं, और मेरी जो पैदाइश हुई है 1989 में एक फिल्म थी डैडी, दूरदर्शन पे आई थी। तो दूरदर्शन उस टाइम पे हमारी ओटीटी तो थी, हर किसी के घर में जाती थी। आज फिर भी चॉइसेस है लोगों के पास में कि ये ओटीटी चैनल को देखे या ना। दूरदर्शन तो पूरे हिंदुस्तान के घर में हर किसी के दिल में जाता था। तो मेरी पैदाइश तो उसी के थ्रू हुई है, तो नया तो नहीं है। हमने तो फिर तेरी कहानी याद आई टेलीविज़न के लिए बनाई थी, जी के लिए। भट्ट साहब ने जन्म बनाई थी, टेलीविज़न पे रिलीज़ हुई थी। तो आई थिंक ये ओटीटी रिलीजिंग स्ट्रेट टू ओटीटी का ट्रेंड जो था, महेश भट्ट ने बहुत पहले शुरू किया था। और मेरी पैदाइश तो इसी इंटीमेट बॉक्स से, टीवी बॉक्स से ही तो हुई थी। तो आई लव द मीडियम।
मैडम अभी बहुत अच्छी बात की आपने। 50 साल की उम्र के बाद हिंदुस्तान की कई ऐसी महिला हैं जो सोचती है कि हमारी ज़िंदगी लगभग समाप्त।
अरे हमारे लाइन में 50 आप बोल रहे हैं, बहुत जनरस है। हमारे लाइन में कहा जाता है कि जब आप 30 साल के हो जाते हैं तो आपका करियर ख़त्म हो चुका है, अभी आप ग्लैमरस रोल नहीं कर सकते हैं, अभी आप किसी की बहन या भाभी या माँ बन सकते हैं। मगर मैं बहुत लकी थी कि अलंकृता और बॉर्निला ने मुझे 48 की उम्र में 21 साल के बाद भी एक ऐसा रोल दिया बॉम्बे बेगम्स में, जहाँ पे मैं अपना एज प्ले कर रही थी। इश्यूज़ लाइक मेनोपॉज, जो लोग इस चीज़ के बारे में बात ही नहीं करते हैं, शो में उस चीज़ के बारे में चर्चा हुई थी। और ये नया मीडियम ही हमें ये अपॉर्चुनिटीज देता है। तो आई थिंक एज इज़ जस्ट अ नंबर फॉर वुमेन इन एंटरटेनमेंट टुडे। ये 20 साल पहले आप नहीं कह सकते थे।
और एक बात बहुत अच्छी की आपने, एक हिंट भी दी कि आप फिर से दोबारा मैरिज करना चाहेंगी, तो क्या क्वालिटी ढूंढती हैं आप उनमें जिससे आप फिर से दोबारा शादी करके सेटल होना चाहिए?
शुभ शुभ बोलिए। और हर ज़रूरी नहीं है कि अगर मेरी ज़िंदगी में कोई आएगा और प्यार होगा कि हम जब तक आप पेपर पे कागज़ पे साइन नहीं करते, क्या रिश्ते पेपर पे बनते हैं? रिश्ते दिल में बनते हैं, दिल में टूटते हैं। तो बात यही है कि जब आप एक कंपेनियन के साथी के बारे में बात करें, तो शादी हो या ना हो वो तो टाइम और वक्त और ज़िंदगी बताएगा ना। मैं बैठ के ये सोचती नहीं हूँ इतना ज़्यादा। मैं यही कहती हूँ कि अगर मेरी ज़िंदगी में कोई आए तो वेलकम, अगर ना आए तो मैं मर तो नहीं जाऊँगी आपके प्यास में या वेट कर रही हूँ मैं इसके लिए। आई एम रादर हैप्पी। मैं बहुत ही सेल्फ कंटेन हूँ, ज़िंदगी बहुत ही जेनरस है इस टाइम पे। आई एम वर्किंग, आई हैव फ्रेंड्स, आई हैव रिलेटिव्स, आई हैव लव। But if I meet that wonderful person, great. If I don't meet that wonderful person, as great.
आप आलिया और आपके बीच में क्या डिफरेंस देखती हैं?
आप मेरा पूरा इंटरव्यू लेंगे आज यहाँ पे। डिफरेंसेस क्या डिफरेंसेस?
बच्चा एक मिनट। जी बोलिए। आलिया और आपके बीच में आपको क्या डिफरेंस लगता है दोनों के बीच में?
डिफरेंसेस मतलब वो ज़िंदगी को अलग नज़रिया से देखती है, मैं थोड़ी अलग नज़रिया से देखती हूँ, मगर एक वैल्यू सिस्टम तो सेम है। दो लोग जो हैं, दो शख्स जो हैं, चाहे वो माँ बाप हो, चाहे वो बहन हो, चाहे वो कोई भी हो, जब भी आप एक खिड़की से बाहर देखते हैं, आपकी नज़रिया जिस चीज़ पे जाती है और मेरी नज़रिया जिस चीज़ पे जाती है, वो नज़रिया अलग होती है। तो बात नज़रिया की होती है।
थैंक यू मैम। थैंक यू।